for individuals that aren't too familiar with VA loan or the distinctions between the different types of loans that exist. You've got a conventional loan, FHA, you got VA home loan. What are the differences, advantages, disadvantages, what have you? In a general sense, we can't cover everything.
Yeah, you can't cover everything. I mean, you have conventional, you have FHA, you have VA, you have USDA, you have some state bond programs for first-time home buyers that are not, are available based on adjusted median income. So 30,000 foot view, conventional loans, everybody can use them. They are very rate sensitive to credit score and down payment for single family condos, multifamilies, 2, 3s, and 4s. We'll have private mortgage insurance, less than 20% down payment.
I mean, the PMI piece, the mortgage insurance thing is where it's going to be expensive. Right? Like
relative to VA.
Yeah, if you have to go high LTV, like you have limited resources for a down payment, that mortgage insurance piece is what's going to separate VA from being the best program for you and everybody else.
You know,
because that doesn't disappear until you've paid off
78% LTV, typically, right? Isn't that what it is?
Well, the guideline is when you get to 20% loan to, when you have an 80% loan to value, you can request the PMI to be removed unconventional.
But that doesn't mean it's going to be removed?
No, because the appraised value may throw you off. However, if you pay the existing balance of your mortgage to 78% of the original contract sale price, PMI automatically goes away.
Yeah.
That's federal statute.
And that could be a couple $100 a month, and sometimes, depending on if your credit is challenging, it could be $400 or $500 a month.
So conventional is going to be like that. It's going to be very sensitive to credit, very sensitive to loan to value, very sensitive property type, etc. Probably my second choice. FHA is probably my third choice of options out there. FHA minimum down payment 3.5%. Rates are generally pretty good. Monthly PMI is there. It is set PMI regardless of the type of credit score that you have. So your PMI with a 590 FICO score is going to be the same as if it's a 790 FICO score. It's set by the government, right? FHA will entertain pretty low credit scores. I've seen mid 550 range for FHA. Depends. Where just to take a step back to conventional, I think conventional becomes pretty much obsolete if you go under a 660, 680 credit score. Because then it becomes, if you're going under 660 credit score with conventional and if you got a 5% down payment or 10%, you're going to want to go FHA because it's going to be a lower rate, lower PMI.
Yeah. The rate's going to be extremely high on that.
Because private mortgage insurance in the non-VA conventional loan, the private mortgage insurance is also contingent on loan to value, number of borrowers, your credit score. So that could range quite a bit. It's not uncommon to see, on a 640 FICO score borrower with 10% down, conventional versus FHA, that conventional loan could be $600 more than FHA, right? So it all depends. So FHA is going to have you 3.5% down payment, wide range of credit scores, lower rate. PMI is going to be sort of static. You're going to have property conditions now on FHA that you're going to have to deal with, peeling paint, missing handrails, things of that nature. FHA is going to be more difficult for condo acquisition. Condos have to be FHA approved. That is like trying to get oil from a water spout. It could be almost impossible sometimes to get FHA approved for condos. They do spot approvals, which means they approve one unit, but it's a pain in the butt to do those. So that's kind of like my third choice. VA is our number one choice.
Yeah, VA will always be number one. I mean,
it's the best loan in America.
In a lot of these areas that are doing affordable housing, there's a lot of grants. There's a lot of assistance. In
DPAs, down payment assistance programs.
So, you'll get people pushing one program over another because of the down payment assistance programs, even though you can use that kind of stuff on your VA. I mean, you can still use that stuff and go VA if you wanted to.
Yeah,
use that towards the principal of the.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that. You can do down payments. If
you can't use it towards the principal. So if you are in a state where they offer a DPA program for veterans, you can't use it towards. You could use it for a down payment towards your loan. You could also use it for closing costs and settlement charges and escrows. You could do that. Massachusetts does not have, nor does New Hampshire have a separate grant for VA or FHA down payment assistance. They don't. It's
first come, first serve.
Not in Mass.
You don't have a.
We don't have that. Connecticut does.
Yeah.
Connecticut has that, the CHAFA program. But in Massachusetts, Mass Housing has a very, very friendly down payment assistance program. They give between $25,000 and $30,000 for a purchase. I used to do a lot of Mass Housing. In order to get those funds, typically you have to meet the adjusted median income criteria, and a lot of my veteran clients do pretty well money wise, so they wouldn't qualify for that anyways, right? We get that a lot. Like, oh, I'm a first time home buyer. What do you have for me? Well, not a lot. You make $300,000 a year combined. You're not getting anything. You do pretty well, right? The first time home buyer program, grant funding down. That's for the single mother of a household of 4, single mom who's barely making ends meet. Her adjusted median income is at 80% AMI. Now they'll give her like $30,000 down payment. They help her with closing costs. That's how it should be. But if you're a first time home buyer making $270, $280, $290, $150, but those programs aren't designed for you. So
nope.
But so Mass Housing is a great state bond program. Check your state. Every state's different. Every state has a different bond program. Connecticut has CHAFA, Mass Housing for Massachusetts, New Hampshire Housing for New Hampshire, Maine Housing for Maine. Missouri has stuff too. So there's that.
Carpenters Union does grants. Like there's all kinds of stuff. Like you can just Google it in your market wherever you're at.
Yeah, Google down payment assistance, DPA, grants, buying a home, and Orange County, California. See what shows up.
I mean, because sometimes the money is first come first serve.
That's Connecticut's CHAFA program.
So it's not restricted. It's just like, hey, we got this pot of money. The first however many people get it, and once that thing's tapped out, it's tapped out.
And then then the legislation has to sort of refund it for the next fiscal year. So every state's gonna be different. You have USDA, that's for rural areas. I am not a USDA guy. I don't want to talk about it because I've done one in 23 years, but it's a great program. It is 100% financing in rural counties.
Yeah.
You must meet the income requirements for USDA.
And it's a specific track.
It's a specific census tract. That's the word I was looking for earlier. So USDA is great. So there's a lot of, whenever we work with veterans, since this is a veteran podcast, we're going to start right away with VA. That's where we're going to start first.
Yeah.
And then we can then pivot based on what you're presenting. But generally, for me, there's like I'll give you for example for Mass Housing. Mass Housing has a VA sort of 100% financing variant for veterans. It's 100% financing, but it has private mortgage insurance, and the rates are much higher than VA.
Yeah.
Why it's there, I don't know, but. I know the original guidelines, it was called the Welcome Home Program. I helped write the guidelines for that, or helped oversee the guidelines for that. They've since merged it with the rest of their programs. But so we're going to start with VA and work our way outside.
You've got questions and we've got answers. Whether you served, are currently serving, are a caregiver, or a veteran advocate, the SITREP is your trusted source for information. Subscribe today at www.youtube.com/@VA Made Simple.